Hooray. Well, we are back for another massive Nyarlathotep, the Nairobi edition. And we're joined, as has been the case for a little while now, by Lottie, William, and Maxine, played by Matt Rogue and Slip. Matty, or Matihi, as she used to be called, but I never hear anybody call you that anymore.
It's always Matt.
It's always Matt now. And eventually it'll just be meh.
And then,
Yeah, just and then it'll just be that girl that plays every single Blades and Blasters game.
Except dwarves.
Except dwarves. I'm not into the dwarves.
I still have time.
I just don't like dwarves.
Racist against dwarves.
And they're called little people, I think.
No, they're dwarves.
I don't even know what the correct term is.
No, literal dwarves. God damn it.
No, little people.
Oh yeah, we're definitely playing little people.
All right. So here we are. Let's get you to Nairobi. So where we left off, you had received a letter, and we're digesting that. And I assume you probably had time to look that over in a little more detail.
Oh. Did everybody look over the letter, or do we need to wait a minute?
No, I think I did.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I read that last day.
Okay. And also you are staying at the new, I believe it's the, was it the New Stanley or the Norfolk?
The Norfolk.
Norfolk, okay. Let's see. Yes, that's right. Okay, you are out of the hospital. You are more or less whole again. We will assume you don't have any gross disfigurements from your burns, even though you probably would. So I will let you decide what you're going to do next.
So, did we decide we was going to try to track down this Nails character?
I think so. I think that's the best course of action that we can take right now.
So if Ingrid's with us, she's had sufficient time to review our notes and kind of know what's going on. Is that a safe assumption?
Yeah, we're going to assume that she is a little overwhelmed by all the information, but she at least understands more or less that you are going after an international cult or group of cults, and she may not be 100% clear about what exactly it is that you're hoping to accomplish in Kenya, though. I don't think you have given her any kind of mission statement.
Cause trouble.
Cause trouble. Well, she says, I think that's easy enough. Put your mind to it.
So, in the notes, it looks like Elias Jackson's on Nails at the Victoria Bar, and should be easy enough to ask around about it. Probably the hotel manager, concierge, or whatever they've got here will know. And everybody, keep your eyes peeled for that lady. The Indian woman.
Yes, of course. William is going over his. He's got the notes still piled up next to him, and he's still going through like a majority of them, while he's also cleaning his gun. As long as they're not out in the open somewhere.
Yeah, I think we're still in the hotel rooms, but getting ready to leave. And I am definitely taking Did we notice people walking around with rifles or anything? This is Africa. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not. Most people do not, but many many people that look like they're safari type folks would have guns, and even those that don't. A lot of the men have revolvers in holsters, just as a standard. But I think you would notice the it's really whites who have guns here. The Asians, Indians, and native Kenyans do not carry open weapons except maybe knives and machetes at best.
Well, I'm bringing my machete and my pistol. Lottie and William, are you openly carrying a rifle?
I think, yeah, Lottie's gonna carry a rifle strapped to her back with her always, just in case.
Okay.
Yeah, that loadout sounds nice. A rifle, pistol, maybe a knife.
All right. You look like you're ready to go out into the bush.
All right, I guess we go down, ask at the front desk about this bar.
Sure. The bar is located down in the in this section down here. It's a popular bar with Brits.
Where was that section?
Around here.
Okay.
All right, so you head there. I take it.
Yep. Probably have to ask around a couple times, but
Yep. Ingrid has to keep up. So yeah, she comes along. She's been antsy to get out and do something, so she seems to be happy that you want to do things. So yeah, you go right up to the bar, and you can get a drink. Or what's your approach? It definitely looks like, I wouldn't exactly call it a rough and tumble bar, like you would expect a fight to break out any minute, but the people here definitely seem on the a little more I don't know, tougher side, I guess. There's a lot of men looking macho, leaning up to the bar with guns on their belts and safari hats and that kind of thing.
well, I got no idea what this guy looks. You being a Brit and all, maybe you should go ask the bartender, Mr. William.
What guy are we looking for?
Nails. They call him Nails Nelson.
I wanted to ask you too, is there any way that I have noticed that I'm still getting paid at all, or have I been let go?
Oh no. And I hate to break it to you, but His Majesty doesn't really pay you a salary. You get reimbursed for certain expenses, but you're a gentleman. You're expected to foot your own bill.
Okay.
That's kind of good news, because it means that your main source of income is yourself.
Yeah. It's not a modern bureaucracy. This is a gentleman's government still.
Okay. Well, that's good. Yeah, so he'll head up to the bar and tip his hat and hello, how do you do?
Yes. What can I get for you, sir?
Whiskey on the rocks? Something for the ladies, perhaps? And he points towards Lottie and Maxine.
Oh, well, if you're offering, I'll make a whiskey then, please, just straight.
I'll have the same. You, Ingrid?
I guess it's going to have to be unanimous, though I must confess I haven't quite developed a taste for your whiskey, but I'll try. I will keep trying. So he gets your drinks.
And do we know, what do we know about this guy? Like, as far as the way he looks, or...
I don't think we know the way he looks. We
No.
just heard him mentioned in passing, but his nickname
Yep.
is Nails Nelson.
That's all we know is
I think we know
Nails.
he was military.
Yeah, so William will bring it up. Do you see many British folk in the bar here?
He looks around and he says, "I see as many as you do, mate."
What about a fellow? I'm looking for someone in particular. Goes by the name of Nails.
Nails Nelson. I know him, sort of. Hasn't been around here lately, though.
Oh. When's the last time you saw him?
Last time we had a little argument about all the money he owed me. That must have been 6 months ago, 7. I'll never see that money again, I'm sure.
And he frowns a bit. And anyone else in the bar here that Nails used to hang around with?
Everyone knew Nails. He's quite a character.
William looks about, looks over to Maxine, and kind of frowns to her.
Max looks at him and shrugs, and looks around the room. Then she's gonna go to a. Are there any empty tables?
Yeah, not a lot though. For being, I'm assuming this is early in the day, like 11. It's pretty busy for an 11 o'clock bar room. You get the impression these guys probably practically live here. Some of them, like all day, just sit and drink, read newspapers, and talk loudly.
Max is right at home, to be honest. She goes over to the empty table and she hops on top of it, and she takes. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Now that I have your attention, 3 rounds on this gentleman, and she points to William, to the person who can point us in the direction of Nails Nelson. We heard he was in town, and he's a friend of ours looking for him.
You immediately, like 15 hands go up, and they're all more or less at the same time, and they're like, "I know where he is. I can tell you." So
Pick the least drunk-looking person.
sure. Yeah. There's a. He's also more or less the pushiest. He gets right up and he starts, kind of stepping towards William and he's saying, "That would be me. That would be me. He was my best mate."
William, he was eyebrows high when Maxine jumped up on the bar and he started to kind of chuckle. And then when she shouted out, drinks on William, he kind of gulps heavy and is like, "What are you doing?" And
He says, "I'll have those 3 drinks now," and a couple other people start crowding in and said, "My end was up first."
And Maxine says, fair's fair. If this don't pan out, y'all have your chance. And she hops down, walks down to the fellow. She says, 1 drink now, and 2 after you spill the beans.
Maxine, make a luck check for me, please. Okay. So, William, what are you doing?
he kind of grumbles under his breath and then like spins around and just kind of points and taps the bar at the bartender if he's got his attention to start on a drink for the guy.
All right. Yeah. So when you make it clear that you're going along with the pushiest guy, the others reluctantly back down. They grumble a lot, but the guy that got the drink, he seems super happy. And he says he walks up. He goes over to the bar first and gets his drink, and come back and shoots his hand out. And he says, "I'm Bert. Nice to meet you."
And this is to William, or is it
Yeah.
Maxine?
Oh, yeah. This is to William. No. She directed him to you. She said the first
Okay.
one to talk to you about it gets the drinks. So they're all going for you. They were going for you.
Okay, yeah. He smiles as he hands him the drink and shakes his hand roughly and how do you do, sir?
Doing a lot better now since I never turned down a free drink.
Well, we did have some questions about your friend Nails.
Sure,
When's the last time you saw him in here? Or around
here?
at all?
He hasn't been in here in months. I don't think he's welcome. He ran up his tab, and he owes quite a bit. I don't think he dare show his face here.
Do you see him outside of this place?
Sure. He's all over. He practically lives here. He says,
What does he do?
He says those other 2 drinks, and I'll tell you where you can find him.
Maxine, that's a nah. That's not what we agreed on. You may not even know this fella at all.
I sure do. Everyone here knows him.
If everyone here knows him, then I'm sure they'd be happy to tell me where he is.
Well, not everyone here is as good of friends with him as I am, so they don't really know where you can find him now. They just know he came here.
Yeah, well, prove it. He's good for it, she says, looking over at William. He's a gentleman, can't you tell? She kind of just slaps her hand.
You can make a, I think a persuade is appropriate here, or charm. Persuade is either one of you. Either you can try to persuade or you can try to charm William.
William?
Ooh. He says, "Well, far be it for me to question the honor of an English gentleman." Unless, of course, they're commanding it Gallipoli. But he says, "Sure, I can tell you where to find him. He's hanging out at the Loyal Defender pub nowadays. He may not be there right this minute, but sure enough, you go hang out there for a bit, he'll show up sooner or later."
Was that loyal or
Defender
royal?
pub. Where's that at?
Loyal Defender. I don't know of any. I don't know of a. Yeah, there's no Royal Defender pub. He says it's just down the street.
He looks towards Maxine as he kind of makes his way back to the bar to make good on his bet or his promise, Maxine's promise.
Yeah, Maxine, you remember passing a Loyal Defender pub on your way here from the hotel.
Yeah. So she kind of whispers to Lottie and William, "Let's pay up and get going."
Alright, and Lottie quickly drinks the rest of her whiskey in the glass and sliding on the bar. Well, buy this man his drinks and then we can go.
Yeah, Max makes sure to drain hers as well.
Okay. He says, "Now there's 2 drinks you promised."
Yeah, and William goes ahead and gets those for him.
All right. He takes him back from the bar and goes back to his table, carrying them like trophies. And despite their jealousy, they all just cheer for him as he sits down.
Yeah, Max gives
Did we have-
the salute on their way out.
You get some whistles again.
Well, it's good that we narrowed that down.
Hey, much quicker than looking around town for him, that's for sure. Good job there.
Sometimes the
Lots of money
direct
by the time
approach.
we-
Yeah. That was pretty effective.
Alright, into the
All right,
Loyal
you head
Defender.
down the street then, and there's the Loyal Defender. This bar looks slightly, I guess, a tad bit more upscale than that one. There are, you see a small handful of British officers in here. Drinking at a table and talking and smoking. The bar in here is nowhere near as packed as the other one.
All right. A guy like this with an unpaid tab over at the Victoria Bar. It's possible that he's got other debts and he's not like gonna raise his hand if you're looking for him. So maybe we should once we're in here be a little more discreet than that last place.
Maybe we should see if we can bribe someone there. Maybe the bartender, just ask and hang around the bar itself and see when they come in. Have him point them out.
Yeah, I mean we might have to be in there all day drinking.
Oh no,
But-
it's terrible.
Sacrifices have to be made for the greater good.
Hey, the grades are good.
Okay. The bartender greets you. He looks a little surprised to see William and 3 young ladies with him.
Mhm.
And he just kind of gives you this subtle wink.
William smiles and tips his hat to him. And how do you do, sir?
I'm doing
Would like
quite
to-
well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm doing very well today. We
I imagine so. What can I do for you?
um, actually, I would like some drinks for the ladies. Just a water for
Course.
myself for now.
I see. As you wish. And he'll take your orders. This time, Ingrid is going to order a gin. She likes that better than the whiskey.
Lottie will order another whiskey.
Hmm. Okay. He serves you all, and he says, "Going on safari, are you? You certainly look ready for that." He eyes your, you've got your guns, all that.
Yeah. William says, yes, something like that.
Oh, best
What
of
was that
luck to you.
mountain Ingrid was talking about?
Oh,
Actually, is there a place to sit in here, like away from the bar?
Sure. There are several
Okay.
tables.
Um,
Only
yeah.
two of them are taken.
William will take his water and kind of motion for the ladies to perhaps sit at the table away from the others, where they could perhaps watch the others and listen.
The table you were gonna go to, there's actually somebody already there it's in the corner out of the way, slumped over the table with a few empty glasses, so you can't take that one. You'll have to be a little closer to the officers.
Okay. That's actually fine. We could probably hear if a name gets dropped.
we should have asked for a description from that
When
gentleman.
William
Sorry, go ahead.
when William sits down, he's been very interested in the mountain that Ingrid was talking about, and he starts to ask her about that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. She says she doesn't know for certain which mountain it is, but she says, I feel certain I will know it when I see it. Um, she said, I had the idea to look in the art gallery here. There's a small one in uh, in Nairobi, and I was hoping that maybe someone had painted it or taken a photograph, but there was nothing definitive.
Yeah, we know it's northwest, the Abadara region.
Yes.
Can't be too far.
and and Rodney was having the same dreams of this same mountain.
Yes, it's of course impossible uh, to be certain it is the exact same mountain, since I could not enter his dreams. But we both described there is a I think you call it a knoll at the top, something. It becomes vertical for a little bit before it tapers off. It is somewhat distinctive.
Carlisle, when he was talking to his psychologist, called it the Mountain of the Black Wind.
Yes, we discussed this on the train. There was something, or was it in the hospital, perhaps? There was Yes, I recall there being, well, I wouldn't have called it a black wind exactly, but there was a darkened sky, clouds, I think, very black, rolling over the countryside out from this mountain in some of my dreams. Not every one of them, but I recall that detail.
Lottie, and have you found that name in any of the letters and notes anywhere? The Black Wind.
Mm. I don't think I found the Black Wind anywhere in any of the notes. I'm just talking about the cult of the bloody tongues and such. But whether it's the Black Wind, bloody tongues, the bloated woman, everything's the same. It's all the same group.
Yeah, I think that's pretty clear by a lot of names.
Ah,
But Bloody Tongue does seem to be the name of the cult around here.
there.
And that was mentioned a few times.
Ah, I see.
Wait, hold up. And Lottie, I'm sure they have some of their notes on them. She kind of goes through some of the notes and flips through. It's actually in Natalia's notes, and she points to it. It's the no, there is the Black Wind group in Atterbury, here in Kenya.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, does it say that the cult goes by that, or is it just talking about the mountain?
It's the site. So, well, the site of the Black Wind group is in Atterbury. That's talking about. No. The Mountain of the Black Wind is where they are, the Bloody Tongues. I don't think they're called the Black Wind group. It's a confusing. But they're at the Mountain of the Black Wind.
It's an
but-
address, so to speak.
Exactly. So if we go to Atterbury, we should be able to find this mountain.
We're gonna need to get a guide, a reliable guide. That Chibuzo fella from the train, he said he had a cousin. I wrote down his name. She starts skimming. I know he was born on a Friday. That was his last name. The fella on the train was reliable enough. Maybe we should go look this fella up at some point. His cousin.
Are you sure he's not just pulling one over you? It sounds a bit it's strange for a name there, Maxine.
I do, don't I? But we're in Africa. I don't know. I don't know many Africans. Maybe that's normal around here.
our attacker is still unknown as well on the train. Who knows who we could trust?
Well, they didn't come for us when we were in the hospital, so there is that.
Maybe they thought they scared us off. We was hurt pretty bad. So are we just gonna hang around here and drink and hope we hear Nails' name? Or are we gonna ask the bartender?
Well, better idea. Why don't you go back to that other bar there and ask that friend of his what exactly he looks like? Get a bit of a description instead of, we're just looking for a name sort of thing.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Which one of us should go?
Either I'd say William or you. I mean, you're both are fairly charming, and I'm sure he'd like another drink again from William.
This place is a little less rough than the other place. Probably, if it's going to be two ladies left alone, here's better than a lady going on her own back to that other place.
Ingrid. There's gonna be three of us.
Ingrid raises her eyebrow a little bit.
Yeah.
She says, "Which one of us are you considering not to be a lady?" I wonder.
Oh, well, me. Jeez. That's Maxine.
That
But
that actually gets a smile from Ingrid. You don't see her smile very often.
Oh,
that was
William
obvious.
looks over at the officers for a moment and just kind of like glance to see if they're even looking over here at all or anything.
Certainly they are, stealing looks over here, and you're sure they've been quietly cracking jokes among themselves.
Yeah.
You know,
He leans in. He says, "My absence could prove useful."
it's true. But I suspect that when you leave, your vacancy ain't going to remain vacant very long.
He says, "I suppose I shall return." And he stands up and he kind of pats Lottie's hand and strokes it for a second lovingly as smiles at her.
And Lottie smiles back up at William. All right, you better hurry there.
I will try.
Okay. So William leaves, and really, William's gone less than 30 seconds. And one of the officers turns over to your table and says, "Your man left you. Kind of a fool would do that." And he gets up and picks up his drink. He's the ranking officer, so the other two just smile, and he saunters over to your table.
Max leans forward with her head on her chin on the top of one of her hands and says, "It appears he left his wallet back at the hotel. And, can't buy ladies a drink without money."
I suppose not. Rather rum luck for him, but good luck for me.
Well, you willing to buy some ladies around?
He said, "I am a gentleman as well." He says, "The uniform ought to tell you that." And he nods at the seat like he's waiting for your permission to sit, but you notice he doesn't actually wait for permission and sits down. And he says, "Benson, drinks for the table here, whatever they were having, and mine." And the bartender comes over and serves.
That is mighty hospitable of you.
He says, "I must admit, it's not every day we get 3 such lovely ladies walking into to our little establishment here. The women around here tend to be a little more frontiersy, I guess you could say."
And they don't get thirsty?
I'm sure they get as thirsty as the next woman. They're just not quite as easy on the eyes.
You charmer. What did you say your name was?
Captain Bumption, actually.
Bumption.
Indeed.
You been in Nairobi long, Captain?
I have indeed. Quite a while, in fact.
Oh, you seen anything interesting then in your travels in Nairobi so far?
Oh, I'm sorry, I got it mixed up. He's Montgomery.
Ah, Montgomery.
Not Bumption. Captain Montgomery.
So, you seen anything interesting in your travels and patrols here, Captain Montgomery?
There's always something interesting. He pulls out a pocket watch and looks at it, and he says, "How much time do we have before your man gets back with the money?"
Not quite sure. I mean, you better start talking now.
Well, yeah, I can tell you all sorts of troubles around here with the natives, especially. And he starts telling you tales about native uprisings and dismemberments of British soldiers. He's clearly trying to shock you a little bit and impress you at his stoicism about the whole thing.
Does this sound like the Carlisle story?
No, it doesn't. But I mean, it's along similar lines. I mean, he's not talking about the Carlisle story in particular, but he's talking about a more recent incident with some trouble in a local village. The soldiers went to settle some violence that had broken out within the village itself, and things got a little out of hand.
Ooh, that sounds mighty disturbing. Where exactly? What village was this? What village was it?
He names the village. It's just outside to the west of Nairobi. That's 10 miles out in the bush. He says, in the streets of Nairobi, as long as you stay in the main section here, are pretty safe. But he says, as soon as you leave the city, I recommend you have a guide, or you're taking a risk. You never know.
Oh, where does a person find a reliable guide around here?
That's a good question. Reliable being the operative word there, eh? He says, I assume you're staying at a hotel. I'd say the owner or maitre d' would probably be or concierge, I suppose they call it, would be the most likely source of a reliable guide, I should think.
That's smart thinking. You know that story? That's hair raising, but she looks over at Lottie and Ingrid. Don't that remind you of that? Did you hear about that? Well, you're not American. That American who came here a few years back, supposedly him and his whole group killed by natives. Like their bodies weren't even recovered. What was it called? The Carlisle expedition? She looks over at Montgomery for recognition.
Yes, I do recall that. I was here when that whole thing went down. Curious you should have heard of it. It was some time ago.
Oh, well, it was big news in my social circles back home.
Well, yes, Carlisle was an American. I suppose that makes sense. We lost a couple of good people, too. I remember Mr. Carlisle's sister coming out here and poking up a fuss.
Erica, yeah. I mean, I met her once, at a social function. Don't know her real well, but I do remember she didn't come to a lot of the events for quite a while after her brother.
I see.
Well, my. Hopefully nothing quite to that extent has happened since.
He says that was a bit of a one of a kind, I think. An entire party being wiped out like that, along with all of their bearers. It was quite the sensational story, I suppose you could
It
say.
surely was. I mean, gosh, what the yellow papers were printing back home, and she shakes her head. I mean, gosh, they said that the bodies were so decimated they couldn't even. She just kind of makes some hand gestures like she doesn't know how quite to describe the horror of it. Like you couldn't even tell if it was who it actually was once they found them.
Yes, well, there was some question of the identities, as I recall.
Is it possible for me to do? She's not very good at it, but maybe some sort of psychology check just to see how.
Sure.
All right. Definitely not.
You are not sure. Um, he's making no overt signs of deception.
You wasn't there, were you?
Oh
You know,
heavens, no.
I mean,
I was.
when the
I
bodies
was.
were discovered.
No. I was not part of the investigation. There are very few people left around here who were at that time. This tends to be well, between you and me, it's not exactly a desirable post.
Oh no! Well, how did someone like you end up here?
Well, I got promoted. That makes a difference.
I see. Well, sometimes you gotta take them promotions, even when they're in, well, undesirable places, for the sake of your career.
Quite. I expect I'll be moving on perhaps to India within the next couple of years, I'm hoping. Much more civilized post.
Speaking of Americans, let's see. My brother, he served with a soldier. Uh, what was his name? Nelson. I heard he was still here in Nairobi. You heard of that fella?
Nelson. Nails Nelson?
Oh yeah, Niels. That's what they did call him. I never did hear why.
That's funny you should mention that. He frequents our little watering hole, doesn't he? And you can see he's turned and he's shouting at the drunk guy that is passed out at the table you were originally going to sit at.
Max kind of just grabs him. Oh wait, that guy?
That is the infamous Nails, yes.
Oh my. Well, I did hear he liked his drink, but whew, little undignified there.
Let's just say he's like our little Australian mascot. He sings for his supper, or his drink, rather. His stories are second to none.
I don't look fit to tell no stories, but I reckon should say hello on behalf of my brother at some point.
He says you may have to wait a bit for that. He looks at his pocket watch and it's only noon.
Oh, I mean this nappy time right now.
He says, I expect he'll probably be like that for a couple more hours, unless you would like me to wake him. There's always a pail of cold water to do the trick. Of course, he won't
Oh,
be probably in too much of a mood to have a conversation then, but that's up to you.
for a purely social club, that seems unnecessary, and I think I speak for the other ladies here, are enjoying your company so much at the moment. Seems unnecessary.
And when you say enjoying your company, that's when William returns with a vague description of him. He's unshaven, typically, few days growth at least. He likes to sweep his hair over to the right in kind of a bump. He's in his 30s, but but the guy says usually he looks like he's in his 40s, especially when he's had the drink, which is every day.
As they see William coming, Maxine kind of scoots closer to Captain Montgomery and says, "Uh-oh, William's back." And she kind of whispers, "He's so jealous."
William starts to look around the room, see if he notices this guy in the description that he was given.
It's a little hard to tell because the guy is slumped forward,
Yeah.
face down, practically on the table. The captain you can see he's disappointed that you've returned, but he stands up and he says, Well, I'm glad you took your sweet time. I've been keeping your young ladies warm for you.
He even bought us a drink, William. Mr. I so conveniently left my wallet back at the hotel.
William smiles like really wide and is very, very cheerful with the guy. Then he starts to pat his clothes to remind himself to kind of reinforce what she said, and he says, "Ah, yes, well, good show, old chap. Thank you for keeping the ladies in good conversation."
He says, if I had the company of 3 young ladies so fine, I would not be in the habit of misplacing my wallet. And
Oh, you hear that, William?
he pats you. He pats you on the shoulder like he's giving you friendly fatherly advice, and then goes and returns to his table.
And William just he kind of shakes his head as he watches him walk away, and he sits down by Lottie pretty quickly, proud of himself at the moment. And, well, I did get a description of the fellow. Any useful information?
Oh, well, we found him. At Yargon, thankfully. And she points over to the gentleman who's face down with the glasses around him. Ah, there's the gentleman we're looking
Of course.
for.
Of course.
Thank you. Your departure allowed us to get more information, so you did good on that there, William. She'll pat him gently twice on the shoulder.
Maxine finishes off her drink, and this is my 3rd free drink today. So I'd call that a win-win. She counts it.
William raises an eyebrow towards Maxine, and he's gonna assess if he thinks Maxine is like totally wasted yet or not.
She just blinks at him. You're gonna have to roll some sort of spot hidden.
Yeah.
She's like 120 pounds, and so they've had 3 shots in the past hour, so probably getting there.
I think Lottie. Well, I mean, Lottie's
I'd say
Irish.
he
So.
also. I'd say Maxine has probably also done this many times before.
She's probably a little wasted, but she knows how to hide it.
Yeah. She looks fine to you.
He nods, impressed, and he says, "Well, shall we wake the fellow up, or?"
No, let's leave it for a little bit. Let him have some beauty sleep. But we can wake him up a bit later, or when he naturally wakes up. Buy him a few rounds. I don't really know us.
Yeah, I mean, we probably need to sit here for at least another hour. Just keep an eye on him, have a couple more drinks.
A couple more.
Well, I mean, we gotta, keep up our cover here.
During that time, the 3 British soldiers get up. They have to leave. They pay at the bar, and before they go out, they give a cheer for the King's African Rifles, and then depart.
African Rifles. What's that?
Does William know of them?
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's the British unit that's here in Nairobi.
Yeah. British unit here in Nairobi. Nothing to shout about.
Well, apparently it is. To the King's African Rifles!
You hear from the other table, and you see the guy just kind of raise his left hand a little bit, like he's trying to lift, and instinctively grabs a glass and sort of half raises it, and then sets it down on the table.
Oh, well, that's a good try. Yeah.
Oh, well, I can spend a little bit of time, maybe 1 or 2. But we know that he's always here, is the only thing. We just don't want him to get too liquored up before we ask him any questions.
Yeah, we want to maybe wait for him to wake up, buy him a drink, but make sure it's a little watered down, maybe?
You hear a voice say, "Bloody hell, I must be dreaming or in heaven."
Who said that?
That's him. His head is slightly raised from the table. And he's looking at you curiously.
Oh,
And he says, if my eyes are playing tricks on me and you're really the King's African Rifles, I'm gonna be pissed.
Lucky for you, we're not actually the King's African Rifles. We're just fire people here grabbing drinks. But you look a bit haggard there.
Oh, nothing a drink wouldn't fix.
Yeah, well, that's, you hear that, William? The man wants a drink. Maxie just goes over and sits down at his table.
He struggles to sit up. You can see he's kind of wide-eyed, and he actually, without thinking, he just kind of spits in his hand and runs it through his hair.
So now that I'm closer, you're still thinking King's African Rifle?
He says, "Come a little closer." And he leans in, and he you know what his breath smells like.
Yeah, she breathes through her mouth.
He says, "Well, if you're the prettiest King's African Rifle I've ever seen."
I'm not sure if that's a compliment or not. I'm, Maxine.
Maxine. Captain Maxine, is it?
Oh, I ain't made it that far. I'm just a lieutenant.
Well, we'll see what we can do about that, eh?
Promotion. I'm all about promotion.
He picks up an empty glass and says, "Here's the promotion."
William, where's that drink?
William, he smiles and he says, "Anything for the African Rifles?" He gets up and
He says, "I'm not one of them."
Yeah, he's my
He says,
junior
he says,
officer. He has to do what
I'm
I tell him.
private.
You're private.
I'm private. I don't work for them. I work for money.
Money.
Oh, a mercenary.
Yeah, I've been called that.
Well,
Go ahead.
he says, "Well, that's quite interesting, actually." And,
Why, you've got some you want to part with?
Well, first,
I can fix you up.
he says, "First things first. What do you drink?"
Oh, he says these days I'm not too picky, really.
"I shall fetch you something fine, then."
Oh, are you fancy?
Bring me one
And
too,
William
William.
gets up. Okay. William goes to the bar.
Okay.
He
Maxine, I assume you're at the table with him now, right?
Yep.
Okay. And the other two ladies are, well,
She gestures
Ingrid-
for the
Ingrid hasn't made a move. I don't know about Lottie. She's just observing this whole thing.
Lottie is about to come over, and she does, and she sits down at the table and looks to Nails. You know, we've actually heard a little bit about you, Nails, and
Really?
and some of the good work that you've been able to do.
Well, I'm sure it's all true.
Aye, it's from a certain individual. You remember the name Jackson Elias at all?
Jackson Elias. Name sounds familiar. Help me out here.
Aye, it's a black gentleman, American. He liked to write
There's a
books
lot
and
of
such.
American, yeah.
Aye.
Not a lot of those around here.
No, he liked to write books about cults and such. Said you were quite of assistance and such.
Right. Yes, I remember him now. Curious little chap. Had a lot of questions.
You mind, may you remember any of those questions and any of the answers you gave him?
He was interested in me mate, Jack Brady.
Jack Brady.
Oh, he thanks you for the drink, William, and downs it at an alarming rate, and slams it on the table and exhales with satisfaction. That'll wake me up. Breakfast.
Breakfast of Champions.
Well, he smiles a little. Now you're embarrassing me. I've been called a champion before.
Well, depending if you'd like, I can keep calling you it.
No need for false modesty among us.
He says, "Sweetheart, you can call me anything you like."
Lottie smiles at that and she leans on the table a bit, taking a drink of her own beverage. So, I'm guessing you'd be seeing a lot of what goes on around here and what kind of things, especially, and not sure if you know or you interacted with them at all. She thinks about it for a moment. It's a certain cult here in Kenya.
Cults.
Aye.
It's all kind of cults here. It's Africa.
You heard of the cult of the bloody tongues then?
I'm sure I've heard the name before. Doesn't mean a lot to me, though. His eyes narrow just a little bit. And he says, what's it? Pretty Irish lass asking questions about some nasty African cult for?
Well, to be perfectly honest, we're following in the footsteps of Jackson Elias. Unfortunately, people who are part of this, in extension of this bloody tongues cult, actually had him murdered.
Well, that's a shame. He seemed a decent chap.
Aye, he was, which is why you're here.
We ought to drink. We ought to have a drink in his honor, right?
Aye, we do. Drinking to Mr. Jackson Elias and his passing.
Aye. He looks at you, William.
William turns to the bar and, should I just get the bottle from you?
He just puts his hands up like, who am I to complain?
Yeah, he'll throw a tip down and bring the bottle over to him.
And I guess decently, he pours you each a glass from the glasses he was using before, and hands them out. And here's to what was his name again?
Jackson Elias.
Right. Here's to good old Jackson. Hope he's in heaven right now, looking down at us and watching over you lovely ladies, eh? And you, Mister too. And he downs it.
Lonnie takes a sip from hers and glances over to William and Maxine.
William will actually take a drink to that. Kind of raise it. Cheers.
Cheers.
So, I hear you. Did you say you knew Brady then? He was asking about Brady?
Sure, we was mates for a bit.
Yes. He was supposed to be dead, but, didn't Elias say that you'd seen him?
Saw him yeah, I saw him
Hong Kong?
in Hong Kong. That's right. It was Yellow Lily Bar, I think. That must have been the place.
Really? Did you talk to him?
Of course, we was mates. Told you, we used to run together.
He say anything about the rumors of his demise?
He says he said he was in hiding. Didn't want folks to give him trouble. Didn't really be too specific about it. And to be honest, I don't pry when a mate tells me he's on the lam and doesn't want to talk about it. So I figured he pissed off some pretty important people. He's not the type that's scared easily.
That's interesting. So, Nails, you say he's a mercenary. That means, man for hire, right?
That's what it means. You've got money. I've got these two hands here, and they've done some pretty interesting things in my day.
Oh, I believe it.
Maybe I can show you later.
Maybe you can. But, more to the point here, William here, he's got money, but all he's got is three ladies, and we was thinking of making a trip into the
poor
interior.
fella, you're breaking my heart.
Yeah. I do sometimes wonder, though, about his ability to look out for us all on his own, all on his lonesome. And when we do make this trip, it might be nice to have another man around. You know, someone more experienced with the area.
He winks at you, and you think he's puffing his chest up just a little bit and maybe casually flexing a muscle. And he says, "I think I see where you're going with that. I think an arrangement would be eminently possible."
Well, where do you usually stay, Mr. Nelson?
He thinks for a minute, and he says, "Well, when I'm on the payroll, I'm wherever you want me to be."
And with this, Maxine looks at the others like, are we hiring this guy?
I do need a guide.
I don't know if he's much of a guide. He's more of a mercenary. I think we still need a guide.
I've been all around these parts, miss. I can take you wherever you want to go.
How's your Swahili?
It's it's passable.
Passable. It's better than what we got, I suppose.
Well then, sounds good to me.
Well, what do you say, Moneybags? Maxine says, looking at William.
Is William Moneybags?
That's what Maxine is acting like.
She sure is. I mean, you're William, you're reasonably well off, but you're not wealthy by any means.
Yeah, Max has been paying for everything up till now, so now she's leaning on Will.
I would classify William as poor gentry.
Yeah, because he does kind of like fake it, because I think he's actually from Liverpool, right? And
Yeah.
kind of but he's definitely about maybe charming this guy into thinking he's going to get paid well.
Okay. It's not hard. Okay, so you're not charming him unless you want to push it or spend a luck point. I give you a bonus die because he wants the money.
Okay, so if I spend a luck point,
Because you rolled a
Push it.
58 for a 57.
Can
Or you-
Maxine
or you can push
assist
it.
by blinking and flirting at him?
Oh yeah. you can spend
Yeah,
luck.
sure.
She unbuttons the top button of her blouse.
All right, two bonus dice if you want to push it.
do I just reroll?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Bam.
Yeah, he seems amenable and doesn't make any demands like payment up front or anything.
Nice. Yeah, so William would be like, I'm good for it. We do need a guide, and this man seems
Quite
seems-
capable.
You've no idea.
That's what I was going to say. Yes, quite capable.
That's good thing you've no idea too. He says, so what's your angle here? He says, I'm assuming you're not really going on safari.
Oh no. And Lottie looks at the rest. Should I tell him?
I mean, yeah, in general terms, we're going northwest, right? Toward the mountains.
Aye.
The going to the Abadari, eh?
Aye, here are. We're going to the mountain of the Black Wind, or at least that's the plan.
Black Wind. You know that place, eh?
Oh, we've read about it quite a bit.
Quite a bit, eh? Not really a word most Europeans know about.
Well, unfortunately, we're not most Europeans.
He says that the natives around here call it Upepo Mwesu, or Mwesi, sorry. Black Wind.
Upepo Mwesi?
Upepo Mwesi, sorry. Can't say it right. Upepo Mwesi.
I'm guessing the locals stray fairly far from that particular mountain based on the rumors.
Yeah, you got that right. It's cursed. Not a place they go.
Yeah, well, Jackson's publisher there, he's looking for a little more information. So, and he pays, and she kind of holds out her money hand and makes like that rubbing money symbol.
Mm-hmm. He says, well, if the pay's good enough, I'll take you even there. Though I'm not sure you're going to like it, from what I understand.
I just need a few photos, just a little more for the book.
How close up are we talking about these photos?
She just shrugs.
She says, well, my advice to you is to take him from as far away as your publisher will let you get away with. I've heard stories.
What kind of stories?
People disappearing. Sometimes whole villages just vanishing. One day they're there, next day just a bunch of empty huts. Chickens walking around. Not a living soul in sight.
Maybe these villagers just decided to go live somewhere else.
They would have taken the thatch with them. These folks don't bother to build huts and then just move along and leave them behind. They break it down and take it with them.
So if we wanted to know more before we headed up there, you being a learned man and all about the area, who would we talk to? Who's the expert?
Well, you don't want to be talking to any white men around here. Most of them don't go in for that sort of thing. They probably never even heard of it. They just call it Mount Kenya. Nice, harmless name, that.
What about not white folks?
I says, well, you'd have to talk to some of the natives around here.
I ain't got no objection to that. You know anybody in particular?
Says, I know a few people. Depends on what exactly you're looking for.
You heard of a fella named Jackson? I don't know if that wasn't his first name. Last name Kenyatta. Johnston Kenyatta? Something like that.
Yeah. Little bit of a hero for the locals here. Brits don't like him much. Think he stirs up too much trouble with his newspaper.
Oh, he got a newspaper. What's his newspaper?
The East African Standard.
Do you know where we can maybe find?
He
East
didn't even
African
have the
Standard?
decency to publish it in English. I think that's what pisses him off more than anything.
They don't know what they're saying about what he's saying about them. That's what they don't like.
I have to jump through a bunch of hoops to get it translated. You can be sure they're feverish. They've got their little scribes over there feverishly translating every morning. What's Kenyatta up to, eh?
He's sounds like the rebellious sort, my kind of man. So where would we find this fella?
Well, he's up the street. I'd be happy to take you there.
Max looks at the others.
Of course, we can go there.
William
Yeah.
nods.
After we finish our drinks, of course.
Of course. All right. Well, he will. He will happily finish as many drinks as you care to bestow upon him.
Yeah, William will probably not partake anymore. And probably if they keep drinking too long, he'll probably try to hurry them up. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Max knows how to drink quickly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's on your payroll now, more or less, so he follows your lead. If you're done drinking and ready to go, he picks himself up and he seems downright sprightly.
Got a job with some lovely ladies.
He just gathers up his little dirty sack that's in the corner there with him, throws it over his shoulder, picks up his gun belt with a revolver on it.
Yeah, as they get ready to head out, Max will head over to Ingrid and kind of loop her arm through Ingrid's and lean over and say, don't mind that. That's men. They're all fools, right? You gotta do what it takes to get them to do what you want.
William is also gonna size this guy up after he stands up, and if he's covered in scars, or if he
Oh, he looks like he's been through a lot. Sure.
yeah.
He's even got a few tattoos on his arm and one on his chest when he's kind of putting his shirt back on.
What are they?
Stupid soldier sailor type stuff. It's nothing.
Stuff in another
it-
language that says stuff they don't know it
It's
says.
nothing suspicious. Yeah. One says Delilah. That one looks pretty old. It's already starting to, dissipate, or not dissipate, but it's becoming it's a little fuzzy.
Do we notice Maxine and hanging on Ingrid this time?
I don't know what you'd make of it. I mean, Max just she's touchy-feely all around. So,
Ingrid looks a little distant at
Right.
the moment.
Yeah. Maxine's had a few drinks too, so I don't think it would be out of the ordinary or anything.
Yeah, I think, Lottie, you're sitting with Ingrid still, or are you?
Well, she had moved to sit with
Okay.
Nils.
Ingrid stayed at the other table, so I don't know if William stayed with Ingrid or joined the other at the table, but it was a little crowded for her anyway. So, but she doesn't look too happy over at the other table.
Yeah. Yeah, I think William scooted up to listen to Nails as well. And as they're walking down the street, though, William would definitely walk next to Lottie.
And Lottie would loop an arm in Williams and look up. I'm not sure you have to worry about me flirting with Nails there very much. She shrugs. Not really my type.
Oh, he's not English.
English isn't usually my type either.
And he smiles. I'm not worried.
Ingrid is walking next to you, and she just kind of mutters to you and says, "He certainly seemed to be Maxine's type."
And Lottie looks over to Ingrid. Oh, maybe? I'm not really sure exactly what kind of man that Maxine's interested in, to be perfectly honest. She has flirted with quite a few people. Well, from what I heard, most places we go.
I think that Max...
She frowns at that. That doesn't seem to have helped.
She doesn't know.
I know.
Yeah. William says, I think that Maxine has a way of getting things out of people. And it's all just an act.
I see.
great.
She says, "I see.
Hi.
Well, thank you for the education."
Of course. You feeling alright there, Ingrid?
It's just very hot here.
I agree. It's lots of drinks makes me pretty sweaty, not gonna lie.
Yes, it seems to have the opposite effect in what it is supposed to do. I thought it should cool you down, but it seems not to.
Hey, don't worry, we're hopefully going inside fairly quickly once we get to this newspaper.
And you notice that Nails is actually leading you back towards the train station. which you might have expected it to be, somewhere else, but apparently it's right in the heart of the English district. And he points it out and says, "There it is. Like I said, he doesn't make friends with the English." He says, bought this old newspaper with cash right here, right in the heart of the enemy, you might say. And there you see the East African Standard. And that is an actual photo of it from the time.
Cool. Can I take a 2-minute break?
Yep, we can do a quick bio break.
Nice. Yep, I'll be right back.
All right, I am back. We back? I think not. Mhm. Okay. Rogue, are you back too? Guess not.
I just spilled a drink all over myself.
I'm back.
All right. Okay. So you are there, and I assume you walk in.
William is going to turn to Nails and be like, so did you say this fellow isn't fond of British men?
Huh. Fond? Well, I don't know the chap. I just know of him.
Well, everybody likes redheads. Maxine says, looking at Lottie.
He says, but I know he's, well, you called him a revolutionary. I'm not sure I'd go that far, but he's not a big fan of the way his people are treated.
That's good to know at least.
Well, tell you what, Nails. Why don't you wait out here and keep your eye out for somebody? There's this Indian woman. She sometimes hangs out with like a kid about 13 years old. I think she might have been spying on us. Might have been trying to scoop us. Maybe working for somebody else. If you see her, could you let us know?
He says, well, there's plenty of Indians in Nairobi.
Well, it's not anyone who stands out as odd.
Right. So I'll keep my eyes peeled.
Yeah, and then we'll go in and he won't overhear whatever bullshit story I tell Kenyatta.
Yeah. All right. He waits outside.
William's going to whisper to Maxine as they enter. You sure can hold you.
Ingrid says, I'll wait outside as well. Keep Nails company.
Are you sure, Ingrid?
She just moves to his side, stands there with her arms crossed.
Max just shrugs. She's, for a manipulator of people, she's terrible at reading them, so.
And William's terrible read on her physical status at the moment. He's like, you sure can hold your liquor.
Oh, yeah. I ain't even halfway, to my limit, for sure. But if you, if I do anything real out of character, I guess, just kind of give me a nudge.
William just smiles at her and then looks over to Lottie. How are you feeling?
Lottie gives a small shrug. Well, I'm small, we know how to pack it away back where I live, so I'm feeling alright. I think we should go in and see if we can question this gent on some things. I know that we've been enjoying the day and such, but we've been lying around for quite a while and we don't really have... And she kind of brings the two of them in as they're maybe taking steps towards the East African Standard. I don't exactly know, how much time we have for all this.
Yeah, I don't think any of us do. Hopefully enough.
Well, then we should hurry on in.
Okay. You go in, and actually, as you approach the as you approach the door, you hear some sounds. It sounds like somebody is hitting wood with a hammer. And you hear a couple of voices trying to give helpful instruction.
What language?
It's some African language for sure.
Do Lottie and William understand it at all?
I doubt it.
Even
Alright.
so it's not in Swahili.
Let's see. It might be actually. Sure, it's in Swahili. Yes. So you can discern they're trying to repair something.
Yeah. She scratches the side of her head and looks to the others. Seems they're trying to repair something, I think. That sounds like.
It sounds like that or somebody's getting kneecapped.
That would be
Nah,
that would be
not
some
enough
mighty knees.
screaming.
That would be some mighty knees to have that wooden sound.
Yeah, not enough screaming. Never mind. Definitely repairs.
Maybe they're beating the peg leg off of a sailor. That's possible. But you see soon enough as you walk in, it looks like their printing press is not functioning, and they're trying to hammer some blocks into place. And you can see very clearly there's three of them crowded around it, and a gentleman obviously in charge wearing a suit and tie.
Good afternoon. William steps up.
He turns and quickly he's about to wipe his hands on his coat and stops himself, and instead picks up kind of an oily rag and wipes his hands on that. And you can see he puts his hand out to shake your hand, with a kind of a curious expression on his face, William.
Know him and shake his hand.
He cracks a little smile when you take his hand and shake it, and he says, "Welcome to the East African Standard. What can I do for you?"
Actually, I was looking for a bit of information. Do you sell maps here?
I do not. This is a newspaper.
Well, he looks over at Maxine. Then looks at his hand.
Are you Mr. Kenyatta?
That I am. I see you have heard of me. And he smiles at that.
She smiles back without reservation.
He says, "Johnstone Kenyatta," and he nods at you.
A man with two last names. My, oh my. She says, "I'm Maxine."
He says, "My parents were Anglophiles. They named me this."
Yeah, well, nobody's perfect. So you having a problem with your machine?
Only temporary. We will get it going in no time.
That's good.
It is an old one. Even by African standards.
I'm sure you've got a handle on it. Do you have anywhere we can talk?
He looks around and he says, "In private, there is a room in the back. We can speak there if it is of a delicate nature.
And she looks at the others. Delicate, yeah. We might call it that. Certainly something that requires a little discretion and a little bit of her. You can probably tell she's a little bit drunk.
Hey, let's go to somewhere a bit more private.
He says, "Follow me then." And as he goes by, he gives them some last minute encouragement in Swahili, and you understand. He's telling them that he'll be in the back room with his guests if they need him for anything. And you can see the three workers have kind of stopped, and they're certainly curious about this whole interaction, but they don't say anything. And Johnston takes you into the back room. He says, "Can I offer you something to drink?"
Oh, yes.
He says, "I can make you a gin and tonic. I understand that is your drink."
Gin sounds good. Tonic's optional.
He starts mixing it.
I understand that the quinine keeps the mosquitoes away or something like that.
That is what they tell me.
Yes.
He says, "I am afraid I have no ice. You will have to drink it like an African.
I shall suffer through it.
I think you call it room temperature." And he hands you the glass when he's finally done. So, here we are in privacy.
Maxine looks at the others.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So we understand that a fella Jackson Elias came to talk to you a few years ago. Or was it last year? I don't remember the year, but
Jackson
at some
Elias.
point. Yeah, he was a writer from America.
Yes, I remember him well. This was over a year ago.
You mentioned that and forgive me for being very blunt with it. We were friends of Jackson Elias, actually.
Before his passing. Yeah.
You see, when you say before his passing, you see him kind of purse his lips a little bit and just nod his head.
You remember you and Jackson were talking about the cult, the Bloody Tongue cult, and how you think they carried out the murder of Carlisle and his folks.
I remember speaking to him about unwholesome matters, yes.
We've read quite a bit on everything going on. We know that those who have ties to the Bloody Tongue, as they're not just in this area, I would say, they were the ones responsible for his murder.
This does not surprise me. The man seemed bent upon his own destruction.
Why do you say that?
He says most sensible folks, when they discover a great evil, they go to great lengths to avoid it. They put up charms. They pay medicine man to come. They run. They move. They do not run towards the danger. But he was a man who ran toward the danger.
Well, if everybody runs away from the evil, pretty soon the evil's everywhere. And there ain't nowhere to run no more.
He kind of half nods as if perhaps conceding the point. He says, "My people have avoided evil spirits for all of our history.
Who are your people?
The Kikuyu.
Ah. They was the ones that was blamed for the whole Carlisle thing, weren't they? I suspect that ain't the truth, though.
You can never be sure that the white man is telling the truth. He
Yeah,
will
men
say
are all
whatever he
liars.
must. Not all men.
Most men.
I will not argue with you. And he smiles.
William smiles and shrugs. "'Tis true."
What do you think happened?
Quite honestly, I do not know, but it is quite certain that it was not natural. It was not wild beasts, as the white newspapers claimed. Nor was it later, I believe, angry tribesmen who were then blamed. I think it was something unnatural, spirits. But I know this is not a popular belief among your people. But my people have dealt with these things for generations, countless generations.
Don't you think it's
Do you,
about
do you
time
know
they...
where this?
Go ahead, William.
Do you know where this took place?
It was in the Abadare. There is an unholy ground now. No one will go there. It is cursed. They say that the bodies lay there for days. The animals would not touch them. The sun would not decay them. It was many days before anyone found them. And yet they were preserved as much as they would have been from the moment they died.
Everybody said the Carlisles, Expedition Roger Carlisle and all them, that they was killed there. That's was their bodies, but we keep hearing rumors. Rumors that they ain't actually dead.
Perhaps that is wishful thinking. There was a woman who came to Nairobi, a brother's sister.
Erica.
Yes, she believed he was alive, but she left disappointed.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the woman that was with Carlisle? Mower, I think her name was.
Where-oo?
Moeru? Aye.
Moeru? I have heard this name. I have heard this name whispered with dark things. It is not a wholesome name.
She's a dark woman, right? Not Indian.
You mean African.
Yeah, something like that.
One must assume.
Shh. What have you heard about this woman?
Very little. Only she is known to people who are not dedicated to our traditions. They are dedicated to the dark gods, the ones who have plagued us.
Have you heard of the Bloody Tongue?
I have. This is, you could call them a tribe. They are not a tribe in the proper sense, but they are like a tribe of believers. They are lost to the dark gods. They do terrible things. They are greatly feared by my people.
Do you have any idea where they would be?
Most of us know exactly where they can be found, but there is no sense in that knowledge except to be unlike your friend, Mr. Elias, and go the other way. We avoid them. We do not ask for trouble. We have enough troubles of our own.
If one wanted to find this evil,
And why would you want to do that?
well, as my friend here said, someone has to.
Do they? There will always be blood spilled. This is Africa. I am trying to make a difference here. I believe that Kenya can become a true nation, a model for Africa. And then perhaps one day such evils will find no place to plant their roots. But for now, they are
If
untouchable.
they aren't untouchable, Mr. Kenyatta. They're powerful. But I know they can be touched. They can be, if not stopped, interfered with.
He raises a finger as you're speaking, and he said, "Now this is what impresses me about your people and your culture. It is something that my people can learn from. You are so determined and so confident, always assured that you can overcome any obstacle. My people have had too many generations of obstacles that cannot be overcome. It is not so easy for us to believe."
Yeah. I think what it really requires, Mr. Kenyatta, is an acceptance of the cost. And I'm willing to pay that cost. And I understand that there's people in this world that have more to lose than I do.
That is a very noble sentiment.
It's just how it is. There's somebody's got to stand in the way, and it might as well be people who ain't got nothing else to contribute, I suppose.
So you are looking to make yourselves into troublemakers for this bloody tongue.
Trouble's what I'm good at. Trouble's what the Irish are good at. She looks at Lottie. And trouble, she looks at William, seems to what this one is seeking out by his very nature.
And what will you give them trouble with? What are your tools?
Actually, I was hoping to do a bit of investigation, discovering where this cult could be found. They are not the only ones around, all over the country.
Not just the country, it's the world.
All over the world. Indeed.
All over the world. This is the first I am hearing of that.
How do you think it said when Jackson Elias is killed? It's from people who are in New York, not here.
They're everywhere, but at the same time, they ain't everybody. And the more they draw attention to themselves, the more we have learned, I think they're giving stuff away, and I don't know. It may be a fool's errand, Mr. Kenyatta, but I think that we can do something here.
He looks at you with a slightly pained expression, but he's thinking.
You say your people have been running from this evil for a long time. Is there anything your people have discovered that provides any sort of defense or effect other than running and hiding?
I am no expert in those matters. I will be perfectly honest with you. I am more of a secular man as far as my people go. I am looking toward the future. I am hoping to create a better country. I honestly do not trouble myself with such matters, but there is one who you could speak to. Perhaps he can help.
Max looks at the others with like just obvious hope on her face.
Oof. William looks to Maxine and back to the man. And you mean like charms and magic?
That is not for me to say. Like I said, I am no expert. But this man, if anyone knows, it will be him.
That could help us. Please do not mistake the weapons. We are not out to hurt anyone. These are for protection.
That's not true. I am out to hurt somebody. I'm out to hurt those people that killed my brother, this bloody tongue.
And she says, and you are prepared to be hurt in return. And to have your friends hurt.
And she looks at the other two. She was about to just agree, but then she looks at the others. This kind of slows her roll a little bit.
He said, these people you are planning to give trouble to, they will give trouble back twice as hard, 3 times as hard. You will pay a steep price for your actions. I assure you of that. If you are willing to pay them, then I will direct you to this man. But I caution you right now to think about what you are going to do and whether you are truly willing to make sacrifices, for you will die almost certainly if you go against them. And you may take others with you. They have a habit of meeting any resistance with punishment. There will be villages punished for your actions.
Max looks kind of toward the entrance where the, Ingrid and Nails stood just momentarily, and then looks over at Lottie and William. Then she rolls up her sleeves and shows like the burns from, the remains of the scars from the train. I think we're in too deep already. We caused enough trouble for them. I don't think they're going to rest till we're dead anyway. I don't want to pull anybody else in. I don't want to hurt anybody else, but let's be honest, Mr. Kenyatta. We had rumors a whole village is disappearing. They're going to hurt people whether we interfere or not.
That is one way of looking at it, most certainly. What I hear from you is that you have a fate that you must meet. I hear no shadow of doubt in your tone.
Not from me. And she looks back at Lottie and William. I keep hoping these two. I don't know what to hope. Maybe they'll come to their senses one day and head back to Ireland and make 10 babies.
He smiles at you, Maxine, and you see there's a little bit of melancholy in his eyes. And he says, Does the chieftain lead his tribe to certain death to satisfy his own fate? This is a question never easy to answer.
Max nods. And she says, but in this case, I'm afraid the whole world is my tribe. I'm afraid if people don't do something, there ain't gonna be nothing left. Strange times are upon us, Mr. Kenyatta.
I agree with you. The world is changing very quickly. He looks at Lottie and William, but says nothing. Seems like he's waiting.
William nods and he's looking at Lottie the whole time. And kind of smiles at her.
Lottie's looking up to William, returns a smile, then looks back to Kenyatta. Unfortunately, my good Catholic raising gets me too hard to be able to go back to my own home. I tried once, didn't quite work, couldn't leave these two off on their own, as they're always getting into quite a bit of trouble, what with the fires and such that we've encountered and whatnot. I feel as though at this point, our fates are a bit sealed. No matter where we go, we're gonna have people hunting us. That's just how it's gonna be. We could go home now and decide that, we're turning our back on all of this. But no matter what, I feel like if we return, there's gonna be people still coming after us. Just like what happened with Jackson. At this point, we're not safe whether we stay or whether we go. Our fates are really determined already. It's just what do we do with the time until it comes. And personally, I'd rather go out kicking and screaming than, sitting at home with a few children in my lap.
He just nods, but he looks at William and he says, it is never an easy question to sacrifice love for what one believes in. For duty.
William kind of stands up straight and if you can point us in the right direction, sir.
Not I, but another will. Very well. I see that you are determined. I wish you the best of luck. If you believe in such a thing. I prefer to think of destiny and fate. So perhaps I should say, may you find your fate and may your fate be kind. He says, return here this evening just after sundown, and I will have arranged for your meeting. You must promise not to speak of this to anyone. I am putting this man in danger by exposing him to you.
I'll keep our lips shut.
You have my word, sir.
I won't speak a word.
He nods and puts his hand out to shake your hand, William. And you see he hesitates for a moment, but puts his hand out to shake yours as well, Maxine.
She shakes it firmly, giving him like a kind of sad side smile with one half of her face. I thank you, Mr. Kenyatta. I hope that we do more good than harm here. And I hope that your efforts bear good fruit here.
I wish that as well. And I too hope that your efforts will bring more good than evil to my people. But that remains to be seen. A man must follow his fate to the end. For we all have a destiny. That I am certain of.
We all just have to do the best that we can. If that don't lead us to where we want to go, well, that's the way it was meant to be, I suppose.
He nods and opens the door and leads you back out into the main room.
William looks at the newspapers. I suppose he probably has a stack of them, or
Oh, sure.
if it's possible, he'd buy one from him.
Of course. He just gives it to you. He doesn't charge you for it.
William smiles and nods. And many thanks, sir. See you at sundown.
Indeed.
As they leave, she's got that kind of like almost teary drunk look that people sometimes get, like their emotions just kind of float to the surface. It's kind of wasn't her usual manipulative conversation. So as they walk out, she kind of wipes at her eyes a little bit and kind of rubs her face. This has got to be a break for us, right?
It could be. Could not be. It's something at least.
Ingrid looks up as you step out. Did you get what you were looking for?
I seem so. Maybe a bit more than we were looking for. We've got a name at least.
Yeah, well, we definitely got a lead here. And Maxine looks over at Nails pointedly and then back over at Ingrid. Oh, yeah, we can talk about the details later.
Ingrid just accepts that without a word. Nails seems to expect you ready to move on.
Lunch? I, for one, could use something in my stomach.
Aye, getting some sort of food and us will be mighty fine.
Food, supplies for our journey.
I need maps, we need compasses, we need to make sure we got maps, rope, rations, that sort of thing.
Ammunition. Plenty of that. Although I think we got some back in Mombasa. We got more names if we wanted to look into them. I don't even know who half these people are. We got that Dr. Starrett. Apparently he works on a mission. I don't know what he had to do with anything, but Elias talked to him. Somebody named Sam Mariga. Captain Endicott? Somebody named Lieutenant Selkirk. Oh, wait. King's African Rifles. Hey, Nails, you heard of a Lieutenant Selkirk?
Sure.
Who is it? Who's this?
Actually, give me just a second.
Yeah, that's a lot of names.
It is a lot.
According to the notes and such, Selkirk is the leader of the men who found the remains of the Carlisle expedition. He really described a lot of the horrors that he saw, the pieces that the Carlisles were in. I don't know if he'd be able to help much. Just, you know.
Yeah, he just said I remember him. He shipped out a couple of years back.
All right, so we can cross him off the list.
Well, he was against the whole the tribesmen, the Nandi tribesmen being accused of the murder.
Yeah, I mean, we got this meeting tonight. We could talk to other people, but I mean, I feel like we kind of know. I mean, I guess it's hard to know not to know what you don't know, but we know this business about the Carlisle expedition being slaughtered is, well, that's just a bunch of bull hockey, right? I mean, I don't know who it was that was killed, but it weren't them.
No, I think it was just ways for things to be obscured in order for Carlisle and his compatriots to work in the background. I mean, we know Penhue's working for someone, the bloated woman. Probably did so no one would go looking for him. All this was a setup.
We know Brady's still alive. Suspect everybody is. Although I ain't heard nothing about Carlisle himself.
He's probably at
One
some sort of
thing-
center. What's the idea?
One thing that bothers me. There's one thing that bothers me is this cult has large branches all over the world, and the more people that we talk to,
Max will lead them away from Nails if they're starting to talk about the cult.
Okay.
yeah, he was like talking right in front of Nails too about it. So he might have heard the cult
Sure.
bit get brought up, and then he says he notices what Maxine's doing, and he says he gets quiet for a second, looks towards Nails, and then looks back towards them and says we should all be wary. Nails as well, I suppose.
I don't like the idea of keeping him in the dark. It makes me feel off. We need to tell him something. If either of you tell him, I will.
Yeah, but I don't want him getting cold. Maxine seems like perfectly fine with letting him walk into danger without knowing.
Lottie frowns at that. I'm not fine with it. He deserves to know. I mean, if I would have known everything that I would have gotten up to if I followed you along, I wouldn't have done it. Lottie's face hardens at that.
Yeah, well, you ain't. Yeah, she walks. Says, all right. Hey, Nails. It's very possible that we're gonna be, this whole Mountain of the Black Wind thing is gonna be kind of dangerous, right? You're not gonna turn tail and run on us when, if things get hairy, are you?
It's just, well, not until you do. That's what you're paying me for. But I'm counting on your sanity. You're not going to walk right up, right? You just need to take a few snaps and then we're out of there.
No. That's not at all what's gonna happen.
All right, then. Maybe we should discuss this over a drink.
William laughed.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. A drink always makes a situation seem a bit clearer, and
Lads, I don't like having serious conversations without a little something to wet my whistle.
You're no stranger to danger,
That's true.
right, Nels?
But I also don't like going looking for it. Usually just finds me.
Well, you know about this cult, right?
I know a little. Just rumors.
You ever hear that Brady was mixed up with them? That maybe that was who he was hiding out from?
Brady mixed up with the cult. Doesn't sound like him.
Yeah, well, it was.
He's a chap with his feet firmly planted on the ground.
Yeah, sometimes you get involved in things that you don't intend to, and him and Carlisle, they was buddies, right?
He was more than buddies. He was his bodyguard. And do that for long enough, you're gonna know the chap. Likely to develop some kind of friendship. Brothers in arms. Well, maybe not quite like that, but I imagine they was pretty close. But I don't think Mr. Carlyle made it. That's what I heard. And Brady was alone in Hong Kong.
Yeah, I don't. To be honest, I don't know what happened to Carlisle, but I'm pretty sure Brady is hiding out from these people.
Jack.
I just think that all these agents are looking out for each other and they're communicating the information back and forth across the world. All of them are very wary about what's going on. The more people that we talk to, I think the higher chance we have of letting them know about our whereabouts.
Yeah. Anyway, Nails, I didn't want to really, worry your mind with the details of what we're looking into, but Laddie and William here thought that you should know, that this we might end up with a run-in with the cult. We hope not to, we hope to get what we need without any of us getting hurt, but they got a conscience there. But I know a man like you, he don't flinch at the possibility of danger.
Lottie, she rolls her eyes a bit.
And you can see Ingrid. Lottie, you notice Ingrid shoot Maxine a look that Maxine doesn't see. There's this little fire in her eyes you have never seen before.
Can I make a psychology check?
Yes, but it passes quickly. I'll give you a bonus die on this one because you know her a little bit now.
No,
but you can push it if you want to.
And then I just stare at her. Yeah, let's do it. I'm gonna awkwardly just stare at her.
Yep. Yes.
Whoa!
I would
Extreme.
say yes. It is clearly jealousy. And when she says you're the kind of fella that doesn't shy away from danger, that really, you can see she just gets. She's wounded and angry at the same time, and she turns away and so you can't see her face, and just kind of walks in silence as you guys are walking along, but she's very pointedly not looking, and you can see she walks a little bit ahead, so maybe she can't hear this anymore. She's not walking way far ahead, but she's purposely putting herself out of earshot.
I'm guessing with that roll I can kind of infer what's maybe going. Yeah, Lottie, she looks to Ingrid.
I'd say it's a moment of sudden realization.
Yeah, looks to Ingrid and looks back to Maxine. Looks to Ingrid, looks back to Maxine. And she was gonna say something to Nails, but she's too caught up.
Nails is just right along with Maxine, and he goes, he says, "I've had more than my share of danger, and as you can see, I've always walked out."
And Max just like, oh, I can tell by all them scars. And she just kind of runs a finger down one of his scars.
Down what?
One of his scars, like on his arm or
Oh
whatever.
my.
Lottie, she comes up behind Maxine.
And he says, I got that one working for the Italians.
What about this one?
He says, that one, that was in Greece. They had some trouble there a few years back too.
Oh yeah, them Greeks. They always trying to come in the back door, if you know what I'm saying.
I think I do, actually. Naughty buggers.
Lottie comes up behind Maxine, and as she's talking to Nails, she just takes an open palm and smacks her on the back of the head. And walks past and walks beside Ingrid.
Max like looks up in shock. What the hell, Lottie?
Lottie looks pointedly to Maxine, and then to Ingrid, and then to Maxine.
Nails winks at you, Maxine, and kind of leans in. And William, you hear it too. He just says, "Looks like someone's a little bit jealous."
Yeah, her man don't have so many scars. And then she kind of hip bumps him, and then walks up to catch up with Lottie.
Nails looks at you, William, and actually he looks a little apologetic and he goes, "Oh, sorry, mate. Didn't realize she was your girl."
Has William caught on to any of this?
Nope.
I suspect not.
I think he only noticed the
It's
slap
just very confusing, yes.
and was like, "What is going on?" So he's kind of like watching Lottie at this moment, like.
But Nail says, I didn't catch on that she was your girl.
Oh yes. No,
They're all my girls.
And he says, "Let's not be greedy now."
William just tips his hat to him and smiles, and then he looks over at Lottie, and kind of like gets right next to her ear. What is that about? What's going on?
We'll talk about it later.
And Max just kind of walks up to Lottie and says out of the corner of her mouth, "What was that about?"
Lottie looks to Maxine, and she just says, "I'd maybe go easy on it, considering Ingrid's feelings are a little bit hurt, Maxine."
Ingrid shoots you a look, Lottie, and she says, "It's none of your business. I'm just not feeling well. I would thank you to just let's go wherever you're going to go and get that stupid drink."
Max looks at Lottie, at Ingrid, and then at William, and then back at Nails, and she just kind of has this like realization just wash over her face.
And Nails just leans into William again and he goes, "Women, am I right?"
Indeed.
And he says, "Do you have the first idea what's going on here?"
No, actually, I'm trying to figure this out. They've got some secret code they're sharing back and forth.
That's what I said, isn't it?
Maybe we should just walk together and pretend like we don't hear what they're saying.
Let them sort it out. We'll order drinks all around. It'll sort itself out. It always does.
And so I guess
That's
they
Might end in a bit of a row, but I'm sure we'll be all right in the end.
So yeah, William starts to walk with Nails then.
All right.
Max tries to think clearly through the fog of booze that she's ingested. And she keeps shooting Ingrid glances.
Ingrid is not meeting your gaze at all. She, in fact, her cheeks, it looks like she's taken quite a bit of sun. Her face is red. And she clearly just wants to move along as fast as the group can move.
I guess we find some place to have lunch eventually.
Okay. Yep. There is a place.
Yeah. It'll probably be a awkward lunch.
Yeah. Not with Nails. He's really he's now interested in chumming with you and finding out about you and and telling war stories and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Finding out what your secret is.
Yeah, right.
How did this happen?
So really, tell me, how did you nail these three hotties, eh?
That was a bit of a mistake, really. I just ran into them.
I'll have to learn how to do that. Because usually when I run into a woman, she slaps me in the face.
Well, you might have to get a bit of wash up there.
Soap. That's the key.
That I think I'll try that. Sounds like a novel strategy.
William's the only nice smelling man in Africa.
Yeah, really. Indeed. So yeah, Nails is happy to have just a boys' conversation with William.
I think Max keeps shooting Ingrid furtive glances throughout the meal, especially as she sobers up and, thinks on the possible ramifications of, things she said and done during the day.
Yeah, she's just stony cold. She's not looking at you.
Engage with Ingrid, or try to take her mind off things and ask more about what happened, like what did she do back when she was in Germany, and that sort of thing, her career.
I'm gonna have to make you have another psychology roll, but you got an extreme success. I'm gonna give you 2 bonus dice again.
Amazing. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna get this, but we'll see. Fail.
No, I mean you can push if you want. You can see that she's giving you one-word answers and being very short, right? She's trying not to be irritated with you, but you can sense her irritation mounting. But you can push it if you want to try again.
I do want to try to push it. I think that's what Lottie would do. She would keep trying to engage Ingrid, be like,
Of
so
course.
You know what I used to do? I'm actually
just
an
like an old
archaeologist."
roommate of mine I used to have. Who always thought he had to keep pushing to talk about stuff I didn't want to talk about,
Yeah,
because it would
she's
make it all
that.
better. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to. I actually went to Egypt because I'm an archaeologist. And, I got to discover some things in Paris. And she just starts talking about herself at one point.
Yeah. Eventually, she actually stands up and she says, "I'll see you all back at the hotel. I need to lie down."
Oh,
And she kind of is a little disoriented for a moment and starts to walk the wrong direction, and then turns and walks and goes out the door.
Yeah, Max
Flustered.
kind of doesn't know how to handle this. She kind of stands up for a second and says, Ingrid, don't go. I mean,
Maxine, why did you go back with her to the hotel?
She's gone. Yeah, she goes out the door, doesn't look back.
Oh, fudge. I'll be right back. Max kind of stands up and hustles out the door after Ingrid.
Okay.
As Ingrid kind of is out the door, I'm assuming just kind of walking without looking behind her even. Max is just...
She's got her arms folded in front of her, and she's walking kind of a little hunched over.
Max just starts calling her, Ingrid! Ingrid, wait!
She obviously hears you, and it's like she makes herself stop, and she turns around but doesn't unfold her arms, and she says, "Oh, I wasn't sure you would notice I had left."
Oh my gosh, I didn't think it would be like this with a woman. Ingrid.
Well, there is maybe that is not for you.
I don't know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. This is all new to me. But if you walk away, you kind of taking that choice away, right? I mean, is this what you want, or is it what you want?
I don't know, Maxine. What do you want?
She looks at Ingrid. I like you, Ingrid. What happened there on the train, that wasn't part of the plan.
Well, I'm sorry I inconvenienced you.
Yeah, you did. You inconvenienced me real big. She kind of folds her arms over her chest. Look, I'm used to dealing with folks like Nails. People with little brains and big penises that do the thinking for them.
So you think he has a big penis?
Oh, I'm sure he thinks he does. Compared to his brain. My point is, you know, when I was 13 years old, my dad, he looked at me and he said, "Go talk to the bank manager." And he unbuttoned the first two buttons on my blouse. You know, it's just... That's when I realized it's what I am. You know, I'm a tool. That's what these are. And she kind of hefts her breasts. She said, they're tools for getting the job done. I never even considered that there was someone like you might, I don't know, even think about me that way.
So you think I just seduce random women on trains?
I don't know, do you?
If you have to ask that, I don't think you really understand me at all.
I don't know. I guess, judging by the way you're acting now, maybe you ain't like Nails. Maybe there's more to it.
Thank you for that extreme vote of confidence. It makes me feel so much better. I am not Nails.
Yeah, I know. I know you ain't. I know you got scars, but they ain't like his. And... But look,
I cannot be that tough guy like him.
I don't want you to be. I don't care about Nails.
I am scared, Maxine. This whole thing terrifies me. I am not some adventurer who goes about the world looking for trouble. I am just an ordinary person who had a terrible experience as a child, and I'm trying to understand why. There really is not much more to it. I am no hero. But I see that you are someone who you crave this, or you wish for it, or it is a part of who you are, and so of course I understand that this Mr. Nails would be very appealing to you. It is, you are like a brother and sister, but I cannot be that.
Max just kind of laughs sourly, nails peeling. Yeah, he appeals to me. He appeals to me as someone to stand in the way between me and a bullet. Look, we need help. We got limited resources. You know, William ain't rich. I ain't rich.
I understand.
But we need help. And it's not like I'm willing to do whatever it takes as far as nails goes, but you know, if show him a little of this, and she kind of heaves her breast,
She
you
says,
know.
she puts her hands on her head, and like she has a headache, and she just says, "Look, I understand. I am sorry. I apologize. I thought there was something there, and I overreacted, and I'm very sorry. You must do, of course, what you must do. I think it would be best. I do really, truly need to lie down. My head is throbbing. I have a stomach ache."
All right, I get it. I get it. It's a lot to process. This whole thing is a lot to process. And frankly, Ingrid, if you went back to Germany right now, I'd get down on my knees and I'd thank our Lord in heaven for helping you see sense. Because this is dangerous and you're going to get hurt, and I don't want you to get hurt. Nails, I don't care if he gets hurt. And she says, but it ain't the same. I don't know what it is, but it's not. Anyway, and she just kind of, gives Ingrid a peck on the cheek. You go sleep. You do what's best for you.
She looks a little uncertain, but she just nods and mumbles about seeing you back at the hotel and then leaves.
Maxine watches her go and then shakes her head at herself. What the fuck is going on? Get your head on straight, Maxine. And she kind of says to herself and goes back into the restaurant.
Nails has been trying to be all Mr. Charm with William, and now that Lottie has no female companionship, he's happy to let her jump in as one of the guys if she wants.
Oh, she'd be down. She actually starts talking about basically when they, and I don't know if William would like this very much, but when they were in Egypt and she basically murdered those like 2 or 3 people with her rifle.
Yeah.
And she just starts describing it. She's like, yeah, I just remember that William, one of the gentlemen, he was about to bash him in the back of the head, so I rolled into the back of the truck and I grabbed the rifle from there and I just put it up and boom! I just shot one of the ones in the shoulder and he fell down like a sack of potatoes.
Oh, he's loving that because you've got quite the little firecracker there.
William seems like shocked at first when she starts to tell the story, and then he starts to smile when Nails approves, and he says, "Indeed, Shotgun Lottie."
Nail says, "Everybody needs a moniker. Shotgun Lottie it is."
Hey, and I know you're gonna be able to do yourself justice without whatever weaponry you carry, but I mean, I'm not past killing any sorts of cult members as we go. It's not a big deal for me. They're gonna come after me and try to stab me in the kidney, so I'm gonna take theirs first.
He says, well, he pats his revolver. It's a 45 at his side. And he says, old Sheila here's never let me down, but if we're going to be hitting the bush, I could use a rifle. He says, I'm afraid I had to sell my old one for settle a few debts. Maybe if I could get an advance before we leave the city, I could equip myself properly.
Lottie looks over to William.
William like doesn't miss a step or anything. He's just like, yeah, so we could work something out.
Says we could go gun shopping together, eh?
That doesn't sound like a bad idea. And in the back of his head, he's kind of, worried about it, but he's trying to play it off totally as they're eating.
I'd say Maxine comes in about now when she comes back in.
Yeah, Max looks frustrated, I guess, and distracted. She sits down at the table.
He says, hey, have another. And he pours you another drink from the bottle from the table. The lunch is pretty much done, and Nails ordered a bottle of whiskey. Apparently expecting you're going to cover the bill, of course.
Yeah. Kind of forgetting about the food part.
With your bottle of whiskey, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Max just looks at the drink and downs it.
There she goes.
Yeah.
So what's your nickname? This here's Shotgun Lottie.
Probably Heartbreaker Maxine. She looks up to Maxine very pointedly.
Max kind of just shoots daggers her way and says,
Breaker Maxine, I like that one.
You can just call me Max.
That's boring. It's got to be interesting. I like the breaker bit. That's going to be it. Breaker Maxine, that's your name. Too late now.
All right. Nails. So
She's a tough one.
where did the nails come from?
Breaker
Nails.
Breaker Max. Now that's it. That's the one. Where did nails come from? Oh, that was when I got. Oh, that was some bloody Greeks ripped my nails out, and I just spit on them and left.
Is that all them Greeks done?
A fella don't kiss and tell now, do he?
Well, not if he's a gentleman, Max says, and she smiles and takes another drink.
I guess I have to tell you. And he takes another drink. He goes, no, fortunately, they weren't that kind. They was just nasty buggers, that's all. Weren't too happy about what I'd done to their mates.
And what exactly did you do to their mates?
Well, cut their throats right here like this at night as they were sleeping. And, shoved a little something down there. Oh, not what you think.
And Max makes a face like a shocked
Not what you
face.
think. I'm not that rude. He said, no, it was from a sheep.
And then she makes an even more shocked face.
He goes, I almost got away clean too.
If it weren't for the meddling Greeks?
Not clean enough. Anyway.
That doesn't sound too clean to me, but I don't know. Quite a story anyway.
Yeah. It was worth the name. It stuck.
What is your first name?
Well, my mother called me Bertram. So you can see why I go by nails.
Mothers, what were they thinking?
I guess they imagine their little boys are going to grow up to be big little boys.
Max kind of thumbs over at William like this one.
Sort of. We haven't seen him in action yet. Give him a chance. I see a little something in those eyes. You've got
Yeah.
fight in you.
He's actually pretty good in a tight spot, I have to say.
Oh, he's definitely got something in him. And Lottie starts to drink her whiskey.
Oh, yeah, the train. You know, we never did talk about why you wasn't in our car when that fire on the train happened. I was worried that you two was burning to a crisp.
We were, Lottie glances quickly over to William and back to Maxine. Looking over notes.
Playing cards.
Comparing notes.
So whose
Cards, yes. Cards.
whose notes was more extensive?
I think William's.
That's good.
Speaking of cards.
Nails looks at Maxine and he says, he kind of points his finger back and forth between Lottie and William. He says, "You do know they're together, right?"
Oh yeah, I know they're together.
Okay.
Yeah,
Finish
I
that
mean, as
game.
much as I try to insert myself, they ain't having it.
Oh my, that fills my head with all kinds of visions.
Max just winks at him.
Oh no, and Lottie puts her head in her hands. Please don't.
He looks at William and gives him the little raised eyebrows thing.
William smiles and looks at Lottie and says, "We never did get to finish playing cards together."
I know, I got interrupted in the middle of cards, didn't we? You can see
Oh, good
just her
God.
cheeks are a bit heated at this point.
Nails looks at Maxine. He says, "These two need to get a room, don't they?"
They do. We've got two
All this
rooms over at
talking
the.
in code is getting to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know
Only
why they
so much.
bother.
Only so much a straight up man can take of that.
It's pretty clear, but you know, I don't know. I mean, Lottie, I think she could probably talk about it straight up, but William there, I think that he might have a heart attack. Yeah.
So when's that meeting anyway?
Max pours
I do
herself another
enjoy it.
drink.
What does what mean, Missy?
I'm just wondering when that meeting is later. Maxine, when's that meeting later that we're supposed to be going to?
It's later.
Is it?
Like, yeah, like later-ish. I think after, you know, like, I think it's like 5. He said later. That's what I think.
You should drink some water there, Maxine. You're a bit slurry.
Water?
It's too late for that now, Nail said and pours you another.
It might be of Irish descent, but you're not a true Irish woman.
I'm Irish enough, she says, and drinks the drink.
I don't know.
Nail says, "Good gods, we can only take one."
Unfortunately, you got one at least American Irish woman.
American Irish.
We've got
yeah.
a bloody crowd. He says, "Speaking of which, where is that crowd anyway?"
Max
Nothing.
frowns. She's taking a nap.
Oh.
William looks at Lottie when she mentions that, and what time is it? How much longer do we have?
I don't know, man. It's 2 or 3, maybe?
Yeah, I'd say it's about 2:30. Time to go to the dentist.
I don't think we need to role play all the way through it, but
No, no.
Max probably drinks too much.
It sounds like she already has, and then she's back on another one. So yeah. Yes, we'll just say the afternoon passes. And by the time it is evening, William, you at least would recall, and that He had said just after sundown.
Okay, yeah.
So it's not it's more like 6:30, we'll say. So I would say that's enough time for Maxine to be sick and feel crappy, but be on her way back to semi sobriety.
Yeah.
Just not in a great mood.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Your head hurts, your stomach hurts, and your heart hurts. And yeah, that seems like a decent place to stop as we are out of time. We will pick up just after sundown as you return to the East African Standard.
Who are we gonna meet?